Hey Android fans, this is Eric from hollywoodfrodo.com with another Android app review. Today I'm going to be talking to you about a root specific app called LMT, which I'm really excited about. But right before I get to that, I do want to remind you that this review is sponsored in part by andytags.com, which is a really great website to get NFC tags, all Android themed, for use with your Android phone. So head over to andytags.com after the review and check out the really cool NFC tags, stickers, keychains, and tons of information they have over there. Anyway, getting right to LMT. It's a root app, so if you're not rooted, you won't be able to use this app. But if you're not, and you started watching this already, then go ahead and watch it, because it may give you a good reason to root your phone. It's that cool of an app. It allows you to have a basically quick access to a Pi launcher, as well as gesture shortcuts that you can use anywhere on your phone, which is really awesome. It's really 3 apps in one in a way, which is one reason why I like it so much, because it just has a lot of things that it can do. Does it really well. So let's hop on my phone so I can show you how it works and show you the reasons why I like it so much. So here you see the app LMT right there. Before I open up the app, I want to show you what it does. So let's get back to my home screen, and so you can see some of the cool things that it does. So if I swipe up just a little bit from the bottom right there, you'll see that pie chart comes up. I've got 5 Pi shortcut options on the bottom, 2 on the top. Also gives me the time and information here, battery level, ringer level, Wi-Fi, strength, used memory, those type of things, the date, it's all right there. I can also do that same thing from over here, or I can do it from over here. Now I have it set up that way. You can have it only be at the bottom, only be on the side. You can move where the trigger points are. For me, I have it in all 3, so I can get to it anyway with a lot of different ways. And as you see, if you don't set it up, if you don't do it right, then you're not going to get to it at all. So if I do it up here, there's nothing. The swipe area is very specific, so you have to hit the specific spot. And I have it set, you can change the sensitivity of it. I have it set so that it's right on the edge of the screen there. It's hard to do from the angle I'm doing it right now with the camera in my way on that side, but it's right there, just right at the edge. And you can change that as well. So another thing that LMT allows you to do, besides having the quick launch Pi launcher, is to have a gesture control. So for example, my launcher by default, this is Go Launcher, and if I swipe up with one finger, it brings up my app drawer. If I swipe down, it does my notification. Now that's built into my home launcher, but with LMT I have a 2-finger swipe down feature, which brings a notification down, and a 2-finger swipe up feature.
Go ahead.
Which cancel.
There was an ambient noise error.
And that starts my voice control. Now the cool thing about that, it isn't attached to my home launcher, so I can do that regardless of what app I'm inside of. So for example, if I open Amazon, inside of Amazon, if I swipe down with 2 fingers, it opens up my notification bar. If I swipe up with 2 fingers,
go ahead.
And you see, cancel.
Okay.
It launches my my voice control. Another thing that it allows for, along with those gestures, I have, if I draw a square, see if I can do it right, then it's my most recent apps, just by drawing a square. And again, it can be inside any other app, and you can do that, and it will work. which is pretty cool. So if I'm inside a box and I draw a square, then it launches my recent apps. Now drawing a square is a little bit tedious. That's not really a gesture that I use that much. The other ones are more. If I swipe with 2 fingers this way, then it launches my camera app. So it's a quick way to launch my camera app, and that'll work regardless of what app I'm in. So any app I'm in, I can swipe with 2 fingers, launches my camera app, just like that. Another thing that it allows is called ISIS Invisible. I can't remember what it stands for right now, but when we get in the app, it'll tell you. But basically, it allows you to create points all along the boundary of your phone that when you swipe from them, they will do certain things with 1 finger. So single finger swipe. So it's different than gesture, because the gesture is a specific gesture or 2 finger gesture anywhere. The ISIS activities, which is the 3rd feature, is all from the border of your phone. For me, I think I don't know how many possible things you could need to launch when you already have the Pi control and the gesture. I would probably use ISIS if I wasn't using the Pi. But using the Pi, I don't really feel like there's a need to use ISIS, but it is available. So for example, one of the ones I have are set up just for an example for you guys. If I swipe from the top like that, then it launches my alarm app. So if I'm in another app, say I'm inside of eBay, same thing. If I swipe that way, then it will launch my alarm app. So that's pretty good. The only problem with something like that could be if the app itself has swipe motions, then with 1 finger you're gonna probably activate that motion as well, but that may not be a big deal. And I set that up specifically for the top left, because there's like 3 on each side and 3 on the top and 3 on the bottom that you can use for that, for ISIS. So you could set up a total of 12 different quick activations just by swiping your finger a certain way. So that's basically what it does. Just a lot of different, why I like it partially is because of the fact that it is all 3 of those things. It's basically like 3 apps in one. You get the gestures, you get the Pi control launcher, and you get the ISIS. So let's hop into LMT app so I can show you the different settings. First of all, of course, you can activate or deactivate the service. So at any time you can just turn that off and deactivate the service. You can choose if you want it to auto start when you start up. You can set the active features. So you can have just gestures in ISIS. Remember I said that if I were going to use ISIS, I probably wouldn't use the Pi and would probably just use gestures in ISIS. So you can have that, or you can have all 3, or you can just have Pi if that's all you're going to use and all you're interested in. Set gesture input. That's important. You have to make sure you use the right one for your device. Otherwise it could be a little off. Even though this says Sprint Samsung GS3, I have a Verizon Samsung S3, but they're obviously exactly the same, and so it works fine with those configurations. Set keyboard state listener. So you can have it so that it operates a little differently if the keyboard is if you're using a keyboard. Feedback style, so you can have different feedback styles, debug overlay, image overlay, or tactile feedback. So you can have it give you tactile feedback, or an image overlay will kind of give you an image of the gesture that it sensed, which is good when you're starting out to kind of know that if it's reading your gestures right. Vibration time, single touch gestures. So configure if single touch gestures should be recognized. So you can make it so that they're not recognized at all if you want to. And then the minimum gesture score, so in other words, how accurate does it have to be before it will consider it to be something you tried to trigger. 70% is by default. the minimum gesture path length. So when you're using gestures, what's the minimum path length it has to be in order for it to consider that you did mean to trigger a gesture. You can add apps to a gesture blacklist, so that's kind of cool. It allows you to add apps that when those apps are open, you don't want those gestures triggering. So certain apps, maybe you have a game that that requires you to use 2 fingers a lot, and so you know when you're playing that game, if it senses your gestures with 2, it's going to trigger stuff. You don't want that happening, so you can turn it off. Make sure it's off whenever that app is active. So that's a cool feature as well. And then you can clear that list if you want to. So ISIS, let me see, what does ISIS stand for? Invisible swipe areas. Invisible swipe areas. That's what ISIS stands for. Okay, I had to find that out because I couldn't remember. Invisible swipe areas. So ISIS, a minimum bounding box size. So you can set the value of the minimum bounding box size, the activation area thickness. So how thick from the edge of the screen do you want that activation area to be? Touch screen to screen factor. So this is basically to make adjustments if it's not sensing correctly, X and Y adjustments. I haven't messed with that, but if you're finding that it's not accurate, you can sort of mess with that a little bit and see if that helps. And then pie activation. Activation area position. You see I have left, right, and bottom. Not centered, but you can have just right, just left, just bottom, left and right, left and bottom, right and bottom, left, right and bottom, left, right and bottom, not centered. Then you can have the activation area thickness. By default it was, I think, 30 or 40, 60, something like that. I set it to 20 because I was accidentally setting it off when I was just swiping between screens, either on my home screen or inside of apps. So I had it narrowed down, and you can see, hopefully you can see, those little black boxes are kind of showing me where my areas are right now. Those really should be a different color because obviously the app is black themed, so they're not as easy to see as maybe if they were red or blue. But I have good eyesight, I can see them. And it shows you how thick it is as well as the length. You can also change the activation area length. So right now I have it set at 200. The default is 600, so it would be a lot wider area by default. Activation area gravity. So this is where you can make it be either at on the sides, in the center, towards the top, or towards the bottom. So you can have it either way. Add to pie blacklist. So you can also exclude apps from the pie so that when those apps are active, the pie chart will not be pie chart. The pie launcher will not be active, so you won't accidentally set it off if it's an app where you generally are maybe touching those areas of the screen and you don't want it to be active. Now there are a lot of other options with the pie, a lot of style. You can pick different colors. You can go all different colors and alpha levels. You can also change the inner radius. You can change the size of it, the outer radius. So you can change the inner circle, the outer circle. You can change the shift size, the pie outline size, the long press time, the animation time, the feedback type, and the multi-command. So you can configure if action should be fired multiple times when swiping on an item. By default, it's disabled. Then pie icons, you can rotate the images, show and scale app images, show and scale user images, set user image search path. And then there's pie extensions. You can show pointer to configure if the pointer feature should be shown. By default, it's disabled. And then you can choose the pie pointer color. You can select if you want status info to show on the Pi, as you saw with mine. The status info shows up here. Pi status info colors, you can change the color. Right now mine's white, but you can change that if you want. And you can change the info font as well. So that's the main settings. Then you go over to gestures, and this is where you choose. These are all the different gestures you can have for gestures. Square, diamond, delete. You saw me do the square. Swipe double right, which you saw. Swipe left double, up double, down double. And then go right in the back, or left in the back. And then up and then down, or down and then up. And then 2 question marks, square double, or diamond double. So those are all the different gestures you can do. And you can see once you, let's select once, you can see the options. You can select an app, switch to home screen, home long press, menu, menu long press, back, back long press, recent apps, activate search long press or voice search, next app, previous app, last app, notification bar, quick settings, open keyboard, LMT user interface, or you can use it to quickly toggle Wi-Fi data, Bluetooth, GPS. And then they have advanced commands. Trigger a key, an activity, open a web page, trigger a script, kill app, kill all apps, tasker task, so this does have tasker integration, trigger a shortcut, screenshot, or app drawer commands. So lots of options there. Over in ISIS, same thing. You've got all your different, like I said, 12 in all. And you can select what you want it to do. All the same options are available here that are available in gestures. So it's all the same options. And you've got 3 ears at the bottom, 3 at the top, 3 on the left, and 3 on the right. And then with Pi, you go into Pi, and this is where you select your Pi. Now as you see, you have Pi item 1 and then Pi item 1 long press. So if you open your Pi, and if I just swipe and press that really quick, then it's going to launch what you see there. But if I long press it, then it will activate the home key. So you can have, not only can you have 2 rows of Pi items, but you can also have alternate long press activities for each one of those. So it gives you a whole lot of options of things you can do, besides just having the option to have 5 buttons on each row. You can actually have a total of 10 things if you incorporate the long press. So these are the ways that you set everything up. So anyway, that's pretty much it for LMT. It's kind of a lot, but it's just a full-featured app that can do so many things. Again, it is a root app. If you're not rooted, you cannot use this. So you do have to be rooted to be able to use it. But one of the coolest root apps that I've seen in a long time, was able to kind of take the place of several other apps I had on my phone because it can do so much. So anyway, that is the LMT launcher, allowing you to launch things in several different ways. Whether it's launching an alarm, that, or using a
Go ahead.
double tap to activate something. Cancel.
Okay.
And that is LMT.
Was LMT. I have no idea what LMT stands for, or if it even stands for anything. I looked in the app, it doesn't say anything in the app. It just says LMT. Anyway, as you can see, it's a really cool app. Just a lot of, really 3 apps in one. Each one of those alone would be really great. But having them all together, so it's just one system running to trigger any of them, is awesome. And you saw on my phone, I used the pie chart, and then I used the gesture control. The pie chart is the main one, but then I use a few of the gestures for gesture control as well.
and it works really, really great. Really awesome app. So you cannot get that app on the Play Store. Important to know. It is available on XDA forums. So I have a link below to the thread over on XDA. You can check that thread out, and you can get it over there. It is free, but if you like it and use it a lot, you can donate to the developer to thank him for, you know, his time and energy he put into making such an awesome app. Anyway, that is it for this review. If you like this review, please click that like button. If you know anyone that might be interested in this app, maybe someone who has a rooted phone and could use it, or maybe someone who hasn't rooted yet and you are trying to show them why it would be useful to root, then this is a good reason. So you can share that with them on Facebook, Reddit, Google+, all those fun ways. They're all down there. So take your pick. Don't forget to check out my channel. I have over 150 Android app reviews, as well as Tasker tutorials, product reviews, NFC tutorials, things like that. So check those out, subscribe, favorite the playlist, you know, keep up with what you want to keep up with. Anyway, that is it. Until next time, this is Eric reminding you that your Android phone is only going to be as good as you make it.